We are live. Well, hello to all the mutants and mutant fans. I'm Megan, a Marvel podcast, and that Max from a Marvel podcast. Thanks for
Hi.
joining us at our Nerd Initiative X-Men 97 recap. We're going to go these hot takes about and what's to come. First, now that you've seen the entire show,
The entire show. I thought that this season was amazing. It superseded my expectations because I went into this thinking I was not gonna like love it as much as I did. I expected it to be just kind of like, I don't know, like an animated continuation of the first season or the first series, but it really superseded my expectations and it blew me away in a lot of ways. So what did you think?
I like an X-Man,
Hmm.
but I didn't expect to be obsessed.
Yeah.
Like, it changed me as a person.
No, I feel you. I feel like X-Men like has taken over my life for the past couple months. Like it's just been all about X-Men recently, which is maybe what they wanted.
Yeah, it has been. You did the animes, then I think the new.
Yeah, it's been a lot of X-Men animated stuff recently. I feel like I've been watching X-Men the animated series. I think I started in like February and just kept going until right up until X-Men 97 because I just didn't have time to blow through the whole thing. But it's just been a long few months of X-Men, and I was a lot happier watching X-Men 97 than the original series. I guess I just don't have the nostalgia
It, the
attachment.
the original have that nostalgia. It's hard watch. It's a good show when you grow it. It is hard, man. It's
It was rough.
there.
It was
There's
rough.
no there's no easy way to. It's just so choppy. There's just so much going on at once. And keep up with if you don't know the characters.
Yeah, and I mean, prior to this, my only experience with X-Men was the movies. I was a huge fan of the 2000s live action movies, so I mean, that's what I had kind of going for me. One thing I really loved about X-Men the animated series, the original, was learning so much more about these characters and learning more about, their powers, their interactions, their relationships, their personalities. Like I feel like I had no idea that Storm was claustrophobic, like different things that you learn going through that whole first thing. But it was hard for me to like get through them until I got to the Phoenix arcs. That was like, okay, now I'm like wanting to watch it now. And then at the end, I was kind of like, oh man, look at now, I blew through the whole thing. I don't have anything to watch now. But then, X-Men 97 really kicked it into like a new gear for me. And it was amazing. It was a great continuation and just, it really upped the stakes, I think.
Did your opinion change of any characters from your opinion of the animated series when you watched X-Men 97? Because I feel like I was pretty cool with Professor Xavier,
Ooh.
but now I'm like, oh, he can go. We're good. He's just problems.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. I feel like we've talked about this on our own podcast, Vigilante Vibes, a Marvel podcast. Megan and I have an episode coming out this week where we give a full breakdown of the finale, and we talked about this a little bit briefly on the show. But I don't trust Professor X anymore. I feel him to be so intrusive and just I don't know, something about him. He's just very manipulative too, and he's always about like, oh, free will. We can't make control everyone. We have to learn to coexist. But he's the first one to like jump into someone's mind and like make them do whatever he wants. Um, so that yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of changed for me. I will say Rogue surprised me a lot in X-Men 97. I feel like just her character was like she was already like just a 10 and she went up to like a 15 for me. Like she just kicked it into gear with this. So I mean, given so much loss and her emotional journey with X-Men 97 that she went through. Yeah. And one character I didn't expect to like so much more now was Magneto. Magneto really like he won me over with this. I don't know.
It was the Speedo, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, that's 100% what it was. The bondage cross and everything.
Oh my god, I'm mad I did that's the one thing I didn't grab a picture of. But
Oh
Magneto
man.
I know.
The
Magneto
one
was
thing,
just
Megan.
I know. Magneto was just he was so many things in this show. He was sexy in a Speedo, apparently. He was someone's sex slave. We all know it, we can't deny it. He was Rogue's lover, he was a mentor, he was a villain, he was a hero, he was so many things, and I feel like
Yeah.
that's not talked about enough.
No, you're absolutely right. That whole mentorship role that he took on when he took over the X-Men, to me, I thought that was just such amazing character development and growth for him. And I loved seeing that. That was some of my favorite parts of his character this whole season, truthfully.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I'm interested to see what happens now because last we saw
Mm.
him, he was damn near catatonic, and then he was brought back and just in the nick of time. How convenient. Uh, to save the world, and then what? Where is he? Like, we don't know. We don't know anything.
Yeah,
Like,
we don't know where he
so
ended up.
nope, him and Storm, we don't know where she ended up either.
We don't really know where Professor X is at either.
Oh, he
You
was
know, they
he
never
was
show
being
him.
he was being carried by Hank.
Oh, you're right. He was in Egypt. Okay, you're right. You're right. Okay.
He made himself walk that whole season, but at that point, he's like, "Carry me, Hank."
I never understood like why he decided to ditch the Shi'ar suit that helped him walk. Like I feel like that would be beneficial, but I guess he just missed his wheelchair. I don't know. That was an odd choice, I guess, for me, but I didn't understand that one.
Well, I mean, maybe he just missed a cuddly Hank holding. I mean, we said in our podcast, like, I feel like we all just need a Hank hug because they seem like they're the best. You know, like, just, mm,
No, I
com
I I mean, I don't blame him. I would love to be carried by a beast, so that for my own selfish reasons, but that just saying. So, I mean, I understand that. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how he gets around in, like, ancient Egypt, 'cause I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't recall ever seeing any hieroglyphics of someone in a wheelchair, so I'm interested to see how that goes. I don't think ancient Egypt was very disability friendly. So I'm interested to see
No.
how if he just gets carried the whole time, if he just gets carried by Beast like on a piggyback the whole time. I don't know. I mean, I'm here for it, but I'm just saying.
Um, yeah, I don't think ancient Egypt was very capable for anyone. So, at the very least, a handicapped person. So, Beast,
Um,
you're a real one for carrying him around.
yeah.
I'm really glad Nightcrawler and Rogue end up together, but, like, okay, let's talk about that. So,
Oh
Rogue
my
comes
god.
into this place where she doesn't know anyone. She just wakes up and immediately starts kicking ass. She's like, "I'm just okay, I'm jumping in." And then, like, you don't do read the room, you don't know what's going on. And
I
then
swear.
Nightcrawler, the ride or die he is, he's like, "Oh, is this what we're doing? Let's do it." And it like, I would hate to invite you guys to a house party because I don't know how you'll act.
Oh my god. I mean, Rogue has been this like just the last few episodes especially, she's been such a gray character. Like you never know where she's gonna turn, if she's gonna like, she's one with the X-Men on their wavelength, or if she's gonna be one with Magneto and like kicking everyone's ass because Gambit's dead. And she just woke up in ancient Egypt, saw like some guys looking sketchy, and she just decides I'm gonna fight, and she just starts kicking ass. That was and then Gambit's like, okay, sis, tap me in, I'm with you. And that was it was some good sibling bonding. I thought I appreciated that
I did too. I really could just take a whole season of just those 2. Like, I'm good.
spin-off.
That's
I would yes.
yes, that is what we need. Also, speaking of these 2, where was Mystique?
I was just about to say like I would love a spin-off where it's just like cut in like intercut with scenes of them like in therapy with Mystique, like just like family counseling.
Yeah.
But seriously, where was Mystique though? Like it's a very valid question.
Yeah. Because where did Val end up? Val Cooper. Do we know?
She was
I don't
she was like a prisoner of Bastion's. That's a good question. Where did she end up? I don't remember. I don't know if they showed it. I don't think so.
I wonder if she was a sex slave too. Hmm.
Anything's possible on this show, apparently. So I mean,
Apparently, and like these are questions I'm never gonna get answered, and it's not fair
um,
because it's very provoking.
I know.
J104 says, I have a theory about Mystique. You have a theory that Mystique was Val
Ooh,
Cooper. That's a pretty good one. I think she was for some of the time. She was, but at least I'd like to think that.
yes. I think she's been in the background. But I would have liked to have seen her or like a hint of her. I love Mystique. Hey,
Hi,
Ken.
Ken.
Hey.
Hey.
Well, I just happened to be swinging by, and I know my partner in crime on Turn a Page is running a little late, but I figured I might well join in the chat here and talk to you two, our newest members at Nerd Initiative, who is absolutely crushing the stream right now, too, by the way.
Aw, that's so nice.
Thank you. Thank you. We're trying.
No, you definitely are. I mean, seriously, your recaps on X-Men 97 have been absolutely amazing. And yeah, I mean, let's talk about it, shall we?
What did
Let's
you think, Ken? What was your overall opinion?
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. I thought that for what we got, this was such an homage to the classic 1992 X-Men cartoon, which, I mean, just they nailed Dark Phoenix perfectly. I don't understand how we can't do this in live action, but to see them actually
True.
pull this off, and then what we got here, I was marking out pretty much every single episode, just the cameos, the writing, Magneto in one of the more polarizing moments where he established he's a frenemy, which
Yeah.
I mean, it's so weird to see, but here we are. Like it was just it nailed pretty much everything for me. Like it was a 9.7 out of 10 for me.
Fair, I agree.
9.7. I like what is there
Yeah.
something you would have changed about it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I want to know how Rogue and Sunspot were in space breathing perfectly fine, and just the whole crash to Earth, like they were perfect. And I'm like, Rogue, I can understand. Rogue has the powers of Carol Danvers, but
Mhm.
Sunspot, no, I have issues with that. Even though I do like him as a character.
It was sketchy at best. I agree. It was some
I
sketchy physics logic there.
We have such a soft spot in our hearts for Sunspot because we love his voice actor, Guy Augustine. He was on our
Mm,
podcast,
Mhm.
and he is the nicest person. Like, it's not
So
fair that
great.
there's just these nice people walking around like this. He's
yeah.
like he talked to us for like an hour and a half, and then after we were done recording, wanted to talk to us for another hour just to get to know us.
Oh,
Like,
that's awesome.
Amazing guy.
he is so cool. So we're just pushing for him this whole season.
Oh, I know. Yeah, and he killed it in this finale, I feel like. And the last couple episodes in total, like he just did his voice acting was great. I was very impressed and proud of him.
Yeah, no, he absolutely crushed it. Like I think everybody did such an amazing job this season
Mhm.
too, and especially for a lot of fans who are not familiar with who Sunspot is, really establishing him to a new audience,
Oh
and
yeah.
where I think they're going for next season is going to be really, really. If you know your '90s comics, I think you have an idea, but
Mhm.
I don't want to spoil too much, even though I can definitely drop that in there. It's one of my favorite comics from the 90s that I think they're slowly building that team for.
See, I think they want us to think that, but they also wanted us to think Onslaught was coming, which he didn't. So I think we're
Yeah.
being misled.
I have a feeling he will. I have a feeling he will. Next season, I
Maybe.
think Onslaught's
Hmm.
coming.
I think Immortus. It's
Ooh,
a
Ooh.
I think so too.
bold prediction, but that's what I think, guys. Hey,
I think
hey,
so
Tom.
too.
I can
Hey,
see that.
Tom.
Hey, I gotta remember he's this way too.
Ken, say the thing.
Coming at you live and direct, straight from a folding chair in the ODPH studio. It's well,
Say the
actually, I
thing,
can't say
Ken.
that because you're not here. Tom,
What?
what do you want me to say? I welcome. I mean,
Which
you are always
thing?
welcome.
The tech.
Oh yes, to my left. You're right because he has to do his own intro because it's in his contract.
I love it.
Yeah. Yes, it is the one and only pop culture connoisseur from Nerd Initiative, Tom Craven, jumping in off the top rope.
Welcome
Coming at you
aboard.
live
What is-
direct straight from my
Welcome.
very secretive audio knows that I'm supposed to be in right
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
So, what did you think of X-Men 97, Tom?
I think that Marvel's finally writing to us.
Oh,
Well said. Okay.
I agree with
I can
that.
see that.
I think they
I'm here for
understand
it.
that
Yep,
in
it does.
97 we were that age, and where we are now are two different places. They understand that we understand better storytelling.
Very well said. I love that. I feel like there was a very specific vision with X-Men 97 that really lends well to those who hold these comics near and dear to their hearts, as well as the original animated series. So yes, exactly. I feel like they wrote it with that in mind for sure.
I agree. They tried to portray it like it was for kids, which it super was not for kids.
Yeah.
Just
No.
ask Speedo Magneto. There's no way.
Hashtag Speedo Magneto.
Yep.
He's an icon. I really hope I see some cosplaying of that happening this year, ladies and gentlemen.
Me too. That's for me. That felt like directed towards me, and I was very
I
happy
will
with
preface that right now.
Yeah, I fully think we're going to see a lot of X-Men 97 cosplay at the cons this year, and that
Yeah.
that just proves how much this show connected with everybody. Because especially we're going to see, you know, such a throwback to, like I said, this is such an era that not a lot of fans know, like especially the Magneto M costume, which you know is definitely very unique and very 80s too, even though the show was in the 90s. But I fully expect to see that with the big old M as walking through any con this year.
Oh yeah, we're gonna see a lot of biceps this year. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so.
That would be great. But we can't not talk about the wild cameos this entire season. Just
Oh man,
good Lord.
brilliantly
it all-
done.
At one point, I was like, I don't know if I can take anymore. There's just no way.
Like, I'm not ready. I can't take any more cameos.
I was like, I'm not worthy. There's no way.
And the great thing about them too is they were so detailed for that era, and
Yes.
really brought out, I would say, like the best and the worst of that era too, because the Avengers at that time are not exactly the Avengers we know now in the MCU. To put it mildly, like the X-Men completely surpassed them all, and they were really B-list characters at that time, in my opinion, just because you saw how Iron Man was and that very unique armor that he has that was just more like a chest plate than anything. And even to, you know, Captain America, who I have questions about if that was actually Steve Rogers or if that was John Walker.
I like to think it was John Walker. Just I like keeping him as that stuck up a-hole.
Nope. That was Steve Rogers. Now, I got to say this again, because kind of understanding that all the shows were all connected at that time. If we remember the very specific episodes with Spider-Man, when we met all of his Cap's old characters, including the Wizard, that is Steve Rogers Captain America. I very much doubt that they've really gone that way, because there was plenty right there.
Tom,
see,
all white people look alike. It's okay to get confused.
I mean, I definitely, I feel like the personality that Cap had in this show, especially in that interaction he had with Rogue a couple episodes ago, very much leads me to believe that it could, that now that you said it, could be John Walker-esque. But
exactly,
I did think it was Steve Rogers the whole time. I don't know.
See, it was just the mannerisms, because Steve Rogers that I know, that I've read Marvel comics for, you know, eons now, would never have just been very complacent to let the
Yeah.
government go completely crazy on the mutants. Like, he would have got himself arrested. John Walker, I could see, because he literally follows everything they say, I could see him being more complacent to work with him. But it's like Steve Rogers. I mean, this is the guy that, remember, started Civil War, and
Yeah.
because he felt this was wrong against the people. So the fact that, like, that was written in, that was just something that never set well with me, because
Mhm.
that's not Steve. Like, that's somebody else. And like, I know how you mentioned on social media, Sam Wilson sure as hell would never have gone along with that. Bucky Barnes
Nope.
never would have
Yes.
gone along with that. No,
Nope.
that
I'm saying.
process of elimination for that literally that had to have been John Walker, because Steve Rogers, no, I can't see him just he would just round up the Avengers and just said, we were gonna go handle this.
I
Did it-
agree. He's
was
always
he
fighting for the
ever-
underdog.
Was he ever addressed as Captain America in X-Men 97, or did they just conveniently leave that out?
I think
'Cause I
they
don't
left
think-
it out.
Because
Good
Rogue
question.
called him America's best cop or
Hmm.
something like that,
Yep.
but she never said his name. So
Mhm.
this,
Yeah.
something
Mm.
suspicious.
Megan's cooking.
I
Yeah.
am. Just conspiracy theory I have
Definitely.
going on right now.
The Cap thing, it never made sense to me, and I never liked that he was like that. I mean, that he was turning her down when she needed him. I mean, Cap has always been about standing up for the underdog because he was an underdog. So that is
Exactly.
totally a fight that he would have dived headfirst into, just to help. So for him to be like, "Oh, sorry, you can't get involved in this uniform," like whatever he said, I was like, it seems so off. If they did make it John Walker, I think it made a lot of sense.
Yeah. And especially too at that time period, like, the Avengers were honestly the B-listers. So John
Mhm.
Walker is always a B-list Captain America, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
trust me, I will debate anybody about that. Yeah, he's part of my trilogy of Marvel characters I wish would just go away forever.
Oh
So,
God.
oh yeah, that's a whole different episode for another
Yeah.
time. But trust me, I have my unholy trinity that I just wish would go away. But it just goes
Same.
back to the situation where the Avengers are there, which is a great cameo, and I like how they were portrayed, with the exception of Cap. And then to go into the street level heroes, especially the
Yeah.
one that literally I marked out for, because one, they're so 90s, it's not even funny. And two, of all the people they could have picked for this scene,
Mhm.
I was like, they could not have gone better than Cloak and Dagger.
Oh my
Everyone's
gosh.
loving that. Everyone's
Yeah.
loving Cloak and Dagger.
Well, that
Oh, yeah.
felt like they were just Marvel was personally giving you a gift with that. That's a
Yeah.
deep cut they didn't have to do,
Yeah.
but then they did, and it's just so nice of them.
I
Yeah.
know.
They're
All of
so
these
underrated.
cameos.
Yeah, they're
Mhm.
so underrated. And especially, like, their TV show is great too, by the way, if anybody hasn't seen it on Hulu. Like,
Yeah.
vastly underrated. And they're always the characters, like, they're like the perfection of B-list, because
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
literally can show up and it makes sense. But you're not expecting them to take over the world by any means. Like, they're great to kind of fill in plots here and there. And to consider where they were, especially in that Spider-Man universe too, like,
Yeah.
they were in every single big crossover of the 90s for him. So, like, this is just like such a quiet Easter egg for all the fans.
Yes. And honestly, speaking of the 90s Spider-Man show, one of our viewers, Anthony Elmer, just said Captain America could still be stuck in the whole limbo thing from the 90s Spidey show. Maybe he's still stuck there and it is John Walker. My mind is blown. Wow.
I like that theory.
Me
I like that
too.
theory a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, Anthony.
That'd be amazing.
Keep it going.
Yes.
That's awesome. But I guess the
Yeah,
real question is, like, are we getting a Spider-Man show?
I don't know.
See, I'm honestly 50-50 about this, because one, I would love to see it, as Spider-Man's one of my all-time favorite heroes.
Mhm.
But
Totally.
two, I'm also at the stage where it's like, are we going to go to the well one too many times? Like, we
Okay.
have such a high bar set for X-Men 97 that
Mhm.
if Spider-Man comes back and for whatever reason it doesn't hit that mark, Is it going to be a
Mhm.
disappointment and then ruin the legacy
Ooh.
of what we have?
Mhm.
So, like, I don't know. It's literally like anybody's guess with this.
Very valid point.
I think
Um,
if Spider-Man animated series does happen, a reboot, it will be a while before it does because there's still that one show, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, we're still supposed to get that we
Yeah.
don't know anything about. So they're not going to have two
Yeah.
going on
Yeah.
at the same time. So whenever, I guess,
Yeah.
whenever they find out how well that does, they'll probably make a more bigger decision on it. Till then, they have plenty to work with. He found Mary Jane. They
Yeah, that was nice.
yeah, the show left off on a huge cliffhanger with Madam Web, and there's just so much to fill in there. But
Oh,
Nightcrawler.
Hey!
he's literally ran in on screen, folks.
how do you two
Anything's
live?
possible on Nerd Initiative
Yes.
stream, guys.
Are you guys neighbors?
My job is like a minute.
Yeah, he's very close by for where he works. Here, I'll fix the
Oh,
camera
awesome.
while everybody's talking. So hold on a second. We do this
You know-
live,
you know-
folks. But let me throw this quickly to the chat before I turn it back over.
Hi, chat.
Chat, who was your favorite Easter egg this season on X-Men
Ooh.
97?
I
We
wanna
all know mine. Megan and I already talked about it.
We did. Yes, we discussed it, and I'm extremely excited to hear your theory.
Yes. So what I was thinking was that, with the whole Spider-Man animated series, what I was going to say exactly what Megan said. They have that new neighborhood for the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show. I don't think they're going to go with a 90s Spider-Man. If anything, I think they may incorporate him into X-Men, 97 in the future, like kind of, tying him in, maybe some more crossover like episodes, kind of like X-Men the animated series. But I don't think that they're going to do that yet. If they do, because they are starting this whole other thing that's already been greenlit for like 2 seasons already. So I don't know. I could see
Major
them doing like
TV
Fantastic
movies.
Four.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would slap.
Like, give me 90 minutes of how Christopher Daniel Barnes, Spider-Man, found MJ.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he
That's all I
hasn't
need.
I
even
love it.
been contacted to do it. So I don't know. I would
And Mouse Money keeps a lot of mouths shut too.
Mm.
I trust him. I trust him. Now the others I don't trust, like Andrew Garfield, liar.
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield, just a liar.
But like I
He's
said,
sexy, but he's a liar.
if I remember
Mm.
correctly, Christopher Daniel Barnes Spider-Man was in Spider-Verse 2.
I
think
want
so.
to say yes.
Everybody was in
Well,
Spider-Verse.
I can say
Yeah.
I know for a fact that Josh Keaton's spectacular was in there.
Yeah.
But as far as the Joe Perry Spider-Man, probably not. I come with my own sound effects.
Yes, this is true. I'm like, what are you doing?
Sorry, I'm hyped up on adrenaline and monsters.
Did you run
that's
there?
understandable.
Drive there.
No. I pulled a Nightcrawler. Didn't I just say it? Nightcrawler. Poof.
He's
Yes,
teleported in, Megan. You
I
missed
guess
it.
we
You did
do.
it
We
bad.
do know what the inside of the portal looks like now, so we all know how it happened.
Mhm, smells like
that's-
brimstone.
How
Ugh.
cool was that effect? Let's talk
That was
about that
great
for a
effect.
second.
Oh my god.
That was sick animation. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that was something that I never thought I needed to see, but then I saw it and I was like, I can't believe they didn't give us this until now.
I know.
Yeah.
So let me throw something out here to the chat and the super chat. Now, considering the fact that X-Men 97, and most X-Men, all X-Men actually, takes
Mhm.
place at the X Mansion in Westchester, right?
Mhm.
That some of you guys may or may not know, some of us may live in New York State, and if you really want us to go and review it, just make sure to use them super chats so I can afford the Airbnb. I mean, we can afford the Airbnb and the tax write-off.
The Airbnb looks amazing. It looks so cool.
Do you know the voice actors for Jubilee and Sunspot? I asked them if they were going to do that, and they said they can't. Like, it's so booked up, they can't get in.
Wow.
That's not right.
Mouse
That's what I'm
money.
saying.
That's not
They
right.
need to write a letter. They need to write a
Yeah.
letter.
Yeah, like just show up. What are you gonna do? Say no?
Like people are like, we're sleeping. Go away.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or even say, hey, I'll do a cameo in there and
let's surprise some members, some guests. What do we got to do?
Yeah, it's just that simple. If I was rich, I would get everything for free whenever I wanted it. I'll just give you whatever you want. You want something signed? Do you want me to name your baby after me? I'll do it. I don't care. Just let me stay at the X Mansion.
Okay, so where were we on track? Because I know I threw everything off. Let's go.
So we were
Spider-Man.
discussing cameos and Spider-Man.
I'm just
Yes.
more happy with the fact that Pete found MJ. Even if we do get a spinoff or whatnot, I don't care. I'm just glad he found MJ. To think of the fact
Same.
that original Spider-Man show ended in that tone really just it says a lot for where storytelling was hopefully going, and now that we see nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
I
I
mean,
hate
you hit-
those loose ends.
Well, and think about it too. Everybody's theorizing too. I mean, look, there's a crack in the window. Oh, is that the Spider-Verse? I get how the internet's made us all, investigative reporters, but
Mhm.
it is what it is. I'm just happy he hit the jackpot again, Tiger.
Dude,
Yeah.
I thought that was webbing this entire time until I just looked at it for real.
I was
And so
wondering what that was, but
I was like,
I
oh,
don't
he's
know.
just doing a little swingy thing through the city during the day,
Just web the window.
Yeah. just doing his thing. Also, Gwen is better, so
Yeah.
whatever.
Whoa, whoa,
Whoa,
whoa,
whoa,
whoa,
whoa,
whoa,
whoa.
I can at least
whoa.
give you one version of MJ that is better than
Ugh.
Gwen.
Ugh.
If it's from a
Which
very,
one?
very, very short-lived series on TV that is very divisive with fans, but Ultimate Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, the Ultimate Spider-Woman, season 4.
Mm.
Spider-Gwen is better than
Um,
Gwen Stacy, but
Yeah.
I do like Spider-Gwen.
yeah,
I love
Spider-Gwen is
Spider-Gwen.
amazing. But,
Yeah.
but better than MJ. Oh, okay. We're gonna have to save that for another conversation.
MJ
Megan,
just is annoyed.
controversial.
That's all I do. That's who I am. My God. She has always annoyed the piss out of me. Just like, get in there, Tiger. Meh, meh."
Get in there, Tiger.
Wow.
I didn't mean it that way, but it came
No,
out.
no.
It was
But
like-
that, no. But that,
It
but
was
that-
like
but that's
my
but no,
soul.
That kind of podcast, guys.
My soul wanted it to say that, and I who am I going to stop Destiny? I can't do that.
yeah. I mean, Aisha in the
Yeah.
chat there definitely seeing all the comments too. Ghost Spider is better. Yeah, Ghost Spider is amazing and one of the best characters they've had come out of the Spider-Verse. So if they ever go live action, that would be the one to go with, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey.
Well, her and Miles.
Yeah,
Live action.
I'm not saying that
Yes.
MJ or Gwen is better than each other. I'm just saying in that thing of that particular Spider-Man in this X-Men cartoon universe, MJ was better than Gwen.
Okay, I think it's fair. Someone is challenging both camps here and saying Felicia is the best. Come on, we all know. Okay, well, I'll give you some props. I found that relationship
would.
quite
Oh,
spicy.
it's
Mhm.
you're
I
right.
Anthony's
would.
got some zingers today.
We like them toxic.
Yeah, I mean, Felicia is Felicia.
Yeah,
And I
love her.
won't say bye.
When she's written well, she's a great character. Yeah, I have to admit, like for all
She
this,
is.
for all the Spider-Verse. But I mean, we got a lot of that too with the X-Men cameos this year too, and especially, did anybody have Mojo picked as a villain this year?
Ugh.
No,
I didn't.
I never
I didn't.
in a million years. You could give me a million guesses, and I would never willfully choose Mojo because I hate him. He is so
I
It was a
hate
bit
him
of a long
too.
shot.
So
See what he
gross.
did there.
He's so annoying
Yeah,
in the
no, he
comics.
was-
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I mean, he is perfect for the '80s, but that's, in my opinion, he should have stayed there.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
for
agree.
like for all the villains they grabbed too, and I know the chat has been saying about Exodus in there too, who I think is vastly underrated, and I
Yeah.
think there's going to be more to his story for next season because for everybody that was in Genosha, they had way too many Easter eggs for the acolytes of Magneto.
Very much.
Mhm.
So I think when eventually they all come back to whatever timeline we're going to have, I think that we're going to have a big re-up of the acolytes, maybe as they did in the comics, which I mean, I guess I can say spoilers, but it's been over 30 years when Colossus joined them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, didn't we just talk about that on Turn Page?
Yes, we did.
Shameless plug.
But it's one of those situations that they've layered it so well. I mean, I think super chat, who is your favorite villain this season? I mean, honestly, Mojo was definitely a reach for me, but I understand why. He's a throwback villain, and for the episode he was in, it definitely made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But to see how they went deep diving too, we had the Executioner, which I mean is a perfect 90s villain
Yeah.
and one of the more forgettable ones too, because I mean
Yeah.
it's just he's a great one and done, but he's
Yeah.
not somebody that's going to fight the X-Men all the time. And to see how it played off, especially with Magneto and his redemption arc, I mean, I think honestly having a B-list villain like that really helps sell the point of Magneto is trying to be better.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Yeah, he's
I was
That's
happy
yeah.
they finally tied up everything with Sinister. So
Me
I-
too.
I'm glad
Yeah.
he's now we have a open wide array of what can be possible.
Yes.
Who thinks Pryor's coming back? Because I do.
I do too. I do too.
I have
Apocalypse
a
is
okay.
Nope.
he's out
Okay.
there resurrecting mutants. I don't know.
Look, that was our. Anyways, I think.
Sorry.
Megan, what is your theory? Yeah.
Yeah, hit us. What do you got?
Geez, thank you so much, guys, for being interested. So in what we used to be Genoa, he's just shopping for dead bodies of mutants, right? I think right now. So he's gonna grab Gambit. I think Sebastian Shaw, Madeline Pryor, and I think the last one
Ooh.
might be Rogue.
Oh,
Oh.
As who?
Because what Famine.
Gambit we know is death. That's not a problem. But what
Mhm.
about the
Yeah,
other three?
Famine. I think. Well, no, not Famine. So I think Madeline Pryor will be.
Strife.
you and Strife, man.
I love Strife, man.
Hmm.
No, well, let's see, because I think going off your 4 there, I could
Yeah,
see
I think Rogue will
Sebastian
be
Shaw's
Pestilence.
War.
Yeah,
War
he's
for
War.
sure. Good
Rogue
one.
will be maybe Famine. She makes people sick.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Pestilence.
She leeches off everybody, so that would make sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we have Madeline Pryor, Pestilence.
I could see it.
I feel like
Yeah.
they could be interchangeable. Yeah, definitely.
Because there's
That's a great theory.
they can't keep Maddie the Baddie down. We didn't get enough.
No.
Mm.
We got one
Not our
episode
Goblin
where
Queen.
she showed out, and then the next episode she's dressed like Jean Grey, and then there's fake Madeline Pryor. It's just it's a lot for a lot.
Yeah,
We just deserve more.
definitely.
Yeah, I fully think we're gonna get the whole Limbo, Inferno, Goblin Queen at some point on this
Yeah.
show.
Oh,
And that's
yeah.
gonna
I
be
hope so.
that's gonna be really, really weird. But I'm here for it.
Well,
Now, if
because it's
if this keeps going, do you want to see other things kind of come back around? Like, let's redo the Dark Phoenix, but use the Phoenix Force 5.
I don't want to see the Dark Phoenix.
I don't
I
want to see it
don't
ever
want
again.
to. We're
At least
done
not
with
now.
it. Move on
Yeah.
from it.
Fair
Set
enough. I'm
yourself
just
free
saying.
like the Phoenix.
Set yourself free.
It's
Set
just
yourself
too
free.
much.
Yeah, I'm tired of
it-
Phoenix. It's just too much. Yeah.
Like it's a cool concept. It's just been done so much, so many ways with so many different. Just let's breathe. Just calm down.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Exactly.
Just put it out
Exactly.
there. Jeez.
So, like transitioning to like towards the end of the episode, kind of bring in Apocalypse now. I mean, what do you guys hope to see next season with I can never say the Egyptian name. Oh my god. And
Ensabar.
And so yes, that one. Well, what do you guys hope to see with all of that going down?
More of my wife's jaw hitting the floor, going, "What the?" That's all I need. I pre-screen the episodes just for her because honestly, there are times where it's more fun for me to watch her react than it is me watching the show.
That's fair.
I love my wife.
I feel you on
I
that.
love my wife.
You know, I think we're gonna see a couple things happen.
Hashtag Ken was right.
Well, that's true. We are going to see the buildup for the 12, which is an X-Men story which is going to explain where Wolverine is, because he's the only one that's missing. Well, him and Morph are both missing right now. So they're going to set up for that, and that will be, I guess let's say spoilers. That's going to be how Wolverine gets his adamantium back, because I think what's going to happen is we're going to have like a real mess of the timelines, and with that being in there, you're going to have them appear in like present time almost. But in this era, I think he's going to establish his Horseman. He's going to just rehook him up with adamantium. I think they're going to make that super quick. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get feral Wolverine, even though I want to see that just for like 6 episodes. Like I want to see him.
I'll take 3.
I thought we get a hint at that. I thought at the
I'll
very
take one.
least, but we one. I want to see him go wild. I want to see everything. I'm gonna get it. I want to.
I wanna
yeah,
see
I'll-
everything. I'm greedy.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see him. I want to see him versus Wolverine, or him versus Sabretooth one episode. Just feral,
yes.
That's it.
just going, just fighting. Like it can be like
Especially,
it could be like Peter Griffin and the chicken from Family Guy. Like just give me like 20 minutes of them just clawing and going nuts. I'm here for it. And it just, you could do a split episode like you did with Mojo and the Adversary, because
yes.
and in the chat too, I think they brought up about Storm being missing too. I think when you have those, you're going to have those 3 involved in a storyline with Apocalypse at a different time. I think they're going to set up the 12, and this is where you see the origin of Apocalypse at that time, and the X-Men are going to be responsible for him going evil.
Ooh.
And then we go to the future, which is a play off one of the more forgotten stories, but it's one that is very important to the X-Men, especially the Summers line, and that's the Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. Because with them in the future, they're working with Mother Ascani, who is Rachel Summers, their daughter from Days of Future Past timeline.
That Phoenix. See,
Yep.
Phoenix got to come back.
And then they get a chance to raise Nathan. So when they come back, it's going to be a nice, warm family reunion. Until obviously Xavier screws everything up, because he's responsible for everything going wrong.
Per usual.
Yeah. But I think we're going to have a nice mix of that, and I think the timelines are all going to merge at some point, because we still have this one that's really out there right now, and that's Forge, and his building of a team. So where does that play in? Especially Bishop, which, did anybody else think this was weird that he was gone after he dropped Nathan off in the future, and he now just comes back?
I did. I questioned, like, why didn't he come back sooner? Where has he been? Like, he didn't have to stay away for so long.
Yeah.
I think it's 6 of one, half dozen the other. I think that based on what we've learned, like through the TVA and whatnot, that there are fixed points. I think Bishop couldn't have interfered, just as like Cable tried 200 times.
Yeah.
I think Bishop was able to finally be able to punch through the time stream right after the fact that everything went on. And also, if you think about this, because of the that happened and everybody was dispersed, maybe the space, the fabric of space and time was finally weak enough that Bishop could get back. Thank you. I'll be here all week.
Megan, how about you?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Max.
No, go ahead.
No, I was saying, Megan, what's your take?
Sorry, my connection. I'm reconnecting.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. So I don't know about Bishop, but who times them? Because I think it's Immortus that did it.
Yes. My theory. Oh man. Yes.
His future self.
Oh.
So we lost Megan for a sec, but she'll be right back.
So his future is Ramatut, which is a version of Kang the Conqueror. I think it's cheap writing if they do it. Just saying, like, leave the cartoons where the cartoons are, leave the live action where live action is. That's just my opinion. I caught it while she was off.
What?
Well, that's a very plausible theory. Megan, you jumped back in and jumped out. So where was your theory at?
What did you last hear of me?
King or Ramatut?
Okay, so that's who the exact guy Ensabah Nor defeats in Rise of the Apocalypse. The X-Men, Bishop, have already encountered him in, I think, Beyond Good and Evil. He's one
Hmm.
of the few people who can time zap people like that. And he's also King the Conqueror, who is most likely the overall, it still may be the MCU big bad from what we know right now.
Hmm.
That's what I said. Well, you were off. I called it cheap writing if they go that way.
I don't know. I mean, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I feel like on another perspective, I think it could be brilliant, like tie-in, truthfully, because I think that when looking at the way Egypt looked in the background of that scene, it gave me like very heavy Chronopolis vibes, like those circular patterns on that dome gave me Quantum Mania vibes, Kang's whole like aesthetic. So I thought, they would be perfect time, and especially since we got, back in the 90s before the show ended, there was that, like Megan said, there was that Kang appearance in that Nexus of Time. So
At the same
it
time, I
could,
mean, think about Evolution. Their last episode was leading to X-Men Apocalypse. Now, if we're gonna pull all this
mm,
multiverse and timeline stuff, do we think we could see the Evolution kids show up?
No.
I could see them doing it. I could. Really, I could.
I could
Down the
too.
line, definitely.
I
Yeah.
see. I don't
Why
know if they
don't you
want to
think
tamper
so?
with that though. I just think that they
Why?
want to keep it very grounded to the timelines instead of tampering with the evolution. Because I think what they're eventually setting up, especially with Jubilee and Sunspot, is Generation X. That's the book I was alluded
Mm,
to earlier.
Okay.
I think we're going to have a team book with them, with Xavier starting the new class there. I just hope they really follow that book and get that. I want to see Skin. I want to see Chamber. I want to see that era of Generation X pop up.
Was
And
Kitty in that?
no, Kitty was not. Kitty was on Evolution.
Okay.
But Kate Pride is long overdue to come on this show.
yeah.
I just want to
Long
see
overdue.
Lockheed.
Preach, Ken.
Well,
Preach.
Into
Yeah,
She was on the board.
her at the end of the so that board was
Yeah.
very telling of a lot of things.
It
That
was.
book we got in one episode.
maybe Wanda's to blame.
No, it's Agatha all along.
Ooh.
This is true.
Oh, Tom.
There's magic all over the place here.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, I guess like if you merge the comics with the show, I guess technically because in the comics, Gambit is I'll be death because Wanda got rid of the mutants. So maybe that's why we
Yeah, that
saw
was
so much
kind of his
Wanda in
whole.
one episode.
Mhm.
Ooh, that's a great point.
It's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
like to see some Polaris. I'd like to see Wanda and Polaris meet and Magneto like address his children for a change. That would be nice.
Well, okay, but in the comics, Polaris finds out, oh, Magneto's not my dad. Oh, but she was on that boat. So
She was.
we
Yeah,
need Maury
her-
involved.
Yes.
She's got a very convoluted story of who is and
Yeah.
who isn't. The one thing now we've already had Polaris, if I remember correctly, the one time when we saw Havoc's team back in the original
Yep.
series. Right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I mean, we
100%.
know she's around. We just
Yeah.
don't know what she's doing now.
They're
Yeah.
very confusing with Magneto's family. Period. Like in the
Yes.
comics and on the shows, like it's one of the more interesting dynamics because it literally feels like they flip flop it every so often.
Mhm.
It's
Sure.
they're their own Deus Ex Machina. It's like what's going to fit the story. Let's just write it that way.
But I would be.
Yeah.
But it's
Pretty
true.
much, yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of
Oh.
like retcons about this in the
A
comic.
ton.
Yeah, it's I Krakoa era did throw a few things in the mix, so I'm waiting to see after the Krakoan era ends next month how everything sorts out with her. Hopefully,
As of now, I'm gonna say Polaris is Magneto's kid because she was on the boat. Also, them all being on the boat makes me think Rogue is pregnant. Just all children
Ooh.
of Magneto.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
ooh,
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
a great theory, Megan. Oh
That's
my
what I'm
God.
saying. I'm full of them. Did I blow your minds, or
We
you
all
have
just
ways
saw
that
that.
I'm
Nope.
wrong? Oh,
No, I'm thinking you're right, but I'm like, is this
No,
Age of
no, I'm just kidding.
Apocalypse? Like, would we go back to that because they did it? Rogue Magneto had a child in that era.
yeah.
Mm.
Oh, then Gambit
mean,
comes
Could be
back
what's
as Death.
coming.
Oh,
that's gonna get really, really messed up.
I'm quiet.
We know this, Tom.
I think
She broke it. She broke me.
Yeah. Megan broke Tom.
I don't know what we're clapping,
my
but I'm
parents are
clapping.
gonna. My parents are gonna be so proud. Let's
Yeah.
see. In the chat, did y'all notice that in the scene with Magneto's children, they were all poorly lit and in the shadows? Where did you go? But Rogue was in the foreground, and she is the only one mentioned, not the father of the year. Hey, look, I don't know if those kids even like him. Like, they might have been hiding their face.
See, and
Yeah.
I took it a little bit further, as in everybody on the boat were people that he remembered that he cared for. Now, the fact that he couldn't remember his parents' faces were the reason why they weren't on the boat to begin with.
Hmm.
So that's just the
Ooh.
way I interpreted the boat, and because he does care for them, but they're not present in his life, that's why the other three were. But that is a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Damn,
Yeah.
wish I would have thought of that.
If they aren't doing that, they should now, because that is a great idea.
Bo DeMeo.
Someone
Definitely
tag
take
Bo.
Someone.
He still has to know someone there.
Oh, speaking of Bo, he's been very active on Twitter recently, talking with fans about the finale and answering various questions. So a lot of fans were raising the point that if all these animated shows are supposed to be connected, how come T'Chaka is the Black Panther in X-Men 97, but in the Fantastic Four animated series, a lot of people are claiming that it was T'Challa.
It was.
And when when someone asked him about it, he said NDA, like he couldn't answer. So I wonder
Yeah.
what could be coming in reference to the Black Panther of it all.
So
That's
I think we saw two Black Panthers. We saw T'Chaka on the screen, but then we also saw Black Panther in another scene. So I
Yes,
think we
I
saw
will agree
both.
with that. It's
Yeah.
two. It was. I think it was two different costumes. So I think it could be T'Chaka and T'Challa.
Agreed.
Yeah, I could see that, but then it's like, well, why didn't he just say that? What is he hiding? What's coming with that? Like, what,
Well,
that could be
Eyes of
something.
Wakanda.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
We haven't heard anything about that.
And we
No.
won't. We didn't hear about this show until a month before. And What If?
I know.
We had no idea.
Yeah.
So true. Marketing for
playing
the
it-
animated shows is lacking.
Yeah. They're playing it very close to the vest.
Finally.
But
Yeah.
that works though too, because I think when you talk about a show like this that has all the history and a lot of fans grew up on this, like we have to remember this is almost 30 years ago,
Mhm.
and to think like how this is impacted, and yet you have these stories getting told to a whole new generation of fans. And the big thing that I think is such a strong takeaway is you're having a lot more fans go back to the comic shops or go back to read these issues and really get involved in that classic era, that Chris Claremont era of X-Men, and even like after too with the writers that took over after him. And it's just like amazing to see, like just so many creative people were working on these books at the time, and now it's like a whole new generation's finding them.
I do
Yeah.
think Bo DeMeo's should get credit because he's the one who said, "Here's your
Absolutely.
homework this week."
Yep.
But that does mean he won't be doing that for season 2. So
Yeah.
he said, per him, he said he's going to be watching it for the first time along with all of us next season. So we need someone to take that mantle, someone past the
Yeah.
shield to, because I feel like that was such a good way to get so many people involved. So many people understood, because a lot of people didn't watch the animated series when they jumped into this, which, I mean, that's fine. Whatever. Max didn't until he did. So I think the personal touch that came with it just added so many layers to it, but also with the lack of promotion they did for the show spoke for itself. They didn't
Yeah.
need it,
Yeah.
because the one little promotion they did get, what was it, through Empire? It made everything bad. Morph is non-binary. Everything is horrible. Everything is woke. But Morph was the shining star. So like
Yeah.
none of
Okay.
it was needed.
Did we talk about Morphia before I popped in?
No, and let's
No.
do it.
Okay. So are you guys with the fact that Morph can quote unquote imitate some of the people that he's morphed into, or the big thing that people are getting pissed about is the fact that Morph is changing into people and using their powers. The thing is, every single person that he's changed into is someone that has physical abilities.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, I don't see him shooting lasers or going through matter. Like, I bet he probably could use his atoms and go through things like Shadowcat. But I mean, Hulk, he just made himself denser. Stretch, he did exactly that. Sauron, he just glided. He pulled a Buzz Lightyear. He just fell with grace, with style or whatever it is. So I'm okay with Morph doing this. At the same time, it fed our need for who's he going to turn to next? Let's get some more viewers to stay on him.
It stressed me out because every time I was like, is that Morph or something happening? Because I didn't think Nightcrawler was going to be in this show until I saw him, because I saw him in the trailer and I was like, fucking Morph. I know it.
I know.
And
But then
what's
you
up
saw
with linebacker
Quicksilver.
Morph?
Well, I mean, we got to remember one thing too. His powers were tampered with by Sinister.
True.
Yeah.
So I'm sure
good
there's
point,
some kind of
Ken.
augmentation that he can. I almost want to say it's like photographic reflexes. Like he can kind of absorb powers, like just by seeing them a little bit.
Like eidetic memory. Like what's his name from Heroes?
Taskmaster is who I'm thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But it's one of those situations that I think when you see that play out, like that makes a ton of sense.
I'm
It
just
does.
going to say that everyone's bagging on Morph for being able to copy physical powers, but no one is talking about freaking Rogue, who is suddenly a doctor after she takes doctor powers. That hasn't been brought up.
That's a good point. I found that kind of confusing.
Well, here's
Go for it, Ken.
Here's the one thing. Rogue, everybody knows Rogue can absorb powers, but what people forget is she can absorb memories and personalities. That's how when she was first in the comics, she was possessed by Carol Danvers.
That's how she got her powers.
And that's how she got her powers, but she also had her memories from all the Shi'ar stuff, and it almost drove her mad. And that's how basically how she wound up with the X-Men, is for Xavier to help her control that and learn how to balance out the powers, because she had so many memories of Carol that it was almost like it was almost blinding her about who she was. So that makes sense. Like I had no issue with that, but that's never touched upon in the comics these days, just because of reasons. But it is something that, I mean, if they wanted to, they can go into it, but that's literally why.
They have a Hulk, we have a Ken.
Yeah.
We like it. We appreciate you.
We do.
We appreciate you guys. Appreciate the chat too.
Yes.
Seeing everybody light up in there.
The chat's on fire.
Yes, love seeing that. Oh, shout out Alexis to you in the chat. Muscles in the Multiverse. We got
hello,
some
Alexis.
in here.
Nice of you to show up.
Hi, Alexis.
Muscles.
Hi, Alexis. I don't know you.
Muscles in the Multiverse. Nicest freaking guy. Got
Yeah.
Anthony. Polly.
Anthony, our MVP.
Appreciate you, Isha. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, this is one thing that I love how they went for those little, hints of the powers too. Because with Rogue, we all forget that because she's now just on this whole different level. So it's awesome to see that the deep dive they did and really nailed those original powers too. And especially like when we talk about Storm and her story about getting her powers back and how that really raised her to an Omega level mutant. And I mean, now that we're seeing her, she's going to be joining the Avengers later this year. That's going to be a cool moment in the comics.
Oh, was it announced?
Yes.
Yes.
It's officially announced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Can we get Bobby back? I want Bobby.
I want Bobby too.
I want Bobby.
Man.
Can we, if the actor's still alive, can we get like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, Bobby? Hey guys, how are you doing? Are we gonna go and save, Magneto and the Professor?
Well, here's a great question. Here's a great question for the chat, super chat. What character from Marvel do you want to see next season?
Okay, hold on. Can I ask for specifics? What character from Marvel as a whole, or what character from Marvel that we've seen in the cartoons in the 90s?
Both.
Okay, give me a minute.
I keep it open-ended. Because for me, I guess I'll start. For me, villain-wise, I want to see Strife. I know I saw it in the chat too. I want to see Strife. And I'm also thinking they got to go take somebody like Darkhawk maybe Nova, Sleepwalker. Like I want one of those real obscure, except Nova. But if I get a new Warriors running, like the original lineup, the pre-Civil War one,
Yeah.
give me that in the chat. I'm here for it. I would love to see that.
Okay. I would want to see
Yeah.
Alistair Smythe from the Spider-Man series.
Really?
Like, if you're gonna go that weird, go that weird. Last time I knew Spider Slayer Alistair Smythe, like grayed out yellow eyes, weird freaking fin shoulders. Why not? And then if you want Marvel as a whole, Deathlock.
Ooh. Okay.
That's a good
'Cause
one. I'd like that.
They did such a bad/good job of him on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think X-Men 97 could be a great redemption for him.
I'm here for it.
Thank you. Alistair
I'm here
Smythe.
for it too.
Hashtag Alistair Smythe.
Yep. All right. Megan, how about you?
See, do with that.
Wait, which
Definitely Doom.
Scorpion from
Doom
the
is-
cartoon or Scorpion from the comics?
No, Scorpion from
Okay.
the comics. Yeah. And then Doom, because it's Doom. Why would it?
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. I gotta say,
What about you,
I was trying to
Maximus?
think who I would want to see, and Tom blew me away with the Deathlock. Like
Thank
I'm
you.
on board. I'm on board with Tom's Deathlock. 100%. Lock it in. No pun intended.
Deathlock it in.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm seeing in the chat too. Darwin. Oh, that's a great pick. Exodus.
He could
Here
use
for
a
that.
redemption after that damn movie.
Danny Moonstar. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, Elixir.
Her too.
Yeah. I
God.
mean, yeah.
Cyber. That's a
Cyber.
good one.
Great pick. That's a great
Yeah.
pick.
Boom Boom.
I
Beyonder.
could see Boom
Mm.
Boom in there.
Beyonder.
Beyonder. Especially
That's
the
not
80s
bad at all.
jumpsuit.
Yes.
Epic.
Yeah. Oh, it's pretty cool.
Great picks, chat.
Excellent.
Great picks.
You guys are the best kind of nerds in this chat. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Boom Boom. Yeah, I thought Boom Boom was on Genosha.
That's all right. She still blows up.
Well, yeah. Well, she has like 5 different names when she comes back. Like
Too soon, Tom. Too soon.
yeah. Nathan,
Frank-
Franklin Richards.
Franklin Richards.
No.
Listen.
Is he too
I'm
OP
gonna say-
for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going
I
to say
get that.
this. I think at the end of, I think Alexis put in the chat too, X-Men 98, if that's what they're going to call next season. I'm
Ooh.
not doubting we see Franklin Richards because I think we're fully going to see Onslaught at the end of next season.
Agreed.
Like that'll be the finale. We see him because
Yeah.
Xavier is going to do something, get Magneto mad. Is going to cause Onslaught to show up. And then
Just a lover's quarrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then does that mean we get re-releases of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 in the arcades?
I'm
Oh,
not
man.
gonna say no to it.
Or wait, Onslaught was he 2 or 3? Either way, I don't care. I'm gonna take you for a ride. This is how my
But I-
brain thinks.
But I agree. Franklin Richards, way too OP. I don't think he'll ever be in the MCU. They can't handle that. I personally think.
I don't know.
Well,
Be a hard pull off.
the only thing I could see them doing is if they wanted to try doing a spin-off quickly with the characters that we've seen, like the John Walker, because I'm still not calling him Steve Rogers, Iron Man,
That's fine.
Reed Richards, like everybody that we saw in there. I think that they would do it for Onslaught. Like that's where you'd see the pocket dimension show up and they would go away and like nobody would know what would happen. And then magically they would come back later. So if they wanted to go to Heroes Reborn, they could. But I mean, that could just be something for like a one-off if they wanted to.
If they bring back Iron Man in his own little series, he better have that freaking theme song.
I was gonna say he's got to have
Oh,
I don't
song
care.
was epic.
I am Iron Man. No, I was like, come on, yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
oh, awful.
Oh,
Hey,
it was
don't
terrible.
we-
I'm not in the no.
Don't we have an episode dropping maybe next week of us interviewing the voice of that?
Oh yes. So not this week. The next week we have an episode of Vigilante Vibes, a Marvel podcast, where we interviewed Mick Wingert, the current voice actor for Tony Stark and Iron Man in like 10 different Iron Man projects and What If. So he gave us some a little bit of tea on the potential inner workings of Marvel, like restructuring the studios. So it's a very good episode. So tune in. Really excited.
Well, I think Kevin the robot was already doing that, right?
I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, what a get, man. Tell you what, Vigilante Vibes. If anybody's not subscribed yet, one, you need to do that right now. And the guests they've been getting on the show too, you're getting such an insight into the voice acting and especially what's going on with this. Like, seriously,
yeah,
this is gonna be a must listen episode. Well, as they all are, by the way.
It's a good one.
He goes so far into it. He also does the voices. He also is the one that does Poe in Kung Fu Panda, not Jack Black, the TV show. He
The
does
Legends
that.
of Awesomeness.
Thank you. I could not.
Yep, he did Legends of Awesomeness, but I believe Jack Black came back and did the Amazon series, which was terrible.
Oh,
Oh,
well, I guess Jack Black can't hold a candle to our boy, but whatever.
yeah. But spoiler alert: he does the voices, and he is incredible. He's so cool and such a nice guy.
Oh, and for all you parents there, he also did Baby Shark. He does the pink fong stuff. So you'll hear that too if you want some PTSD of how your day is gone. That threw me off.
He started doing the voice in Megan Flipped.
I was like,
Not in a good way.
sir, this is my safe space.
That's too
Copyright.
Funny. Yeah, no copyright restrictions.
I count in my head.
I know. We have to give you that warning, Tom. And with a live microphone, we never know.
Yeah.
But
possible on live.
Yeah. But I mean, just to think about the impact the show has made.
Like that.
I'm liking the positive news that we've been getting, positive reactions, and like it feels like the public opinion has like turned, because a few months ago it was like, oh, MCU is dead, Marvel's dead, everything is exploding, no one likes MCU Marvel stuff anymore, and then it's like X-Men 97 comes out and everyone's just like, hooray, Marvel's back. It's just, I feel like this happens like every
Marvel
year, every other year, every other project.
You know, though, the reason is, if you follow the comics and when they're done right, they will connect to the pop culture audience. They always will. It's when whoever is writing decides to mix up things to make it more trendy, make it more, family friendly, so to speak. And they really stray away from what makes the characters so important and so, personable that you as a reader can connect with it. When you stray away from that, then that's where you get stuff that really goes off task. Not to start a fight with everything, but that's where I think you had a lot of people getting angry about the Snyderverse, because it went away from what we know as DC, even though there is an audience that really liked it. And that's great. Cool. But when you see this happen in the MCU, where a lot of the films in that near end phase were really looking a lot alike with their themes and the villains and the setup, fans are going to tune out because we've already seen it. But the one thing that we see with this and the great footage that we're seeing, like I said, credit to all the footage you're seeing up here for Marvel Animation and Disney Plus. You're seeing all of this really just resonate with the fans because it goes back to those stories that really impact you as a reader. Like, this is what made the X-Men so popular in the late 80s, early 90s, and then even beyond too. It wasn't until they really focused on the Avengers in Marvel Comics that you saw the Avengers rise up to be the number one team there. It was always the X-Men for just such a landmark amount of time. Like, nobody took the crown from them ever until things went away from what really connected you as a fan. And then Avengers really decided to focus in on their stories. The Brian Michael Bendis stuff was always amazing. The new Avengers run. Like, when you have those moments, that connects you as a fan. And it all comes back to the comics and the stories. Because when we see these live actions, that's what we want to see on screen.
With the exception of Quantumania, because it was a Fantastic Four movie disguised as an Ant-Man.
Yeah, it was the best Fantastic Four movie, not starring the Fantastic Four.
I really thought we would see some Fantastic Four in there. But it also this is what happens when people who create books and projects
Mhm.
Yeah.
You mean it's like getting handed down your Big Brother's Lego sets without the instructions?
Exactly. It's
That's one
true.
way to put it.
Figure it out.
Just saying.
So, final thoughts on X-Men 97. I know some Ken, you gave it a 9.7 out of 10. Max, yours was 97 out of 10. Tom.
Oh, I'm with the crowd. I'm X-Men 97 all day. It's not a problem. It's a
Hmm.
9.7, which I think we're just using as code for 10, right?
I only found very little things I didn't like, but it's minor.
It's the nitpicky stuff. Like that's how, like the other day when I gave it a 10, but I still had little nitpicky stuff.
Yes. Well, I mean, the thing about it is for this show. Well, actually, Megan, I'm sorry. I'll let you give your pick. I didn't mean to jump ahead of you.
Oh, it was a 10 out of 10. You're good. Go ahead.
Okay.
Mhm.
Sorry. I just said I want to cut off. For
No,
me,
you're good.
this is what really shows what you can do if you focus in on the stories. There is a couple moments that I feel they rushed a little bit, and I understand why, because at the finale, there's just a couple loopholes that happen, and
Reasons.
it's reasons. Like, they are what they are. There are no prizes if you want to take it back to the late Stan Lee days. But it's one of these moments, like when you're seeing this all unfold, it still nails the landing. It still reminds you of why these characters are so great. And this is why you want to see more of them, whether it's in the comics, whether it's on the live stream, whether it's, animated. Like, you want to see more of them because it brings you back to why the X-Men are great. And the X-Men will always do the right thing to fight against the world around them that fears and hates them, but yet they still rise above it every time out to prove that they're just like everybody else and they care just as much.
Beautifully said.
Thank you. Good night.
Beautifully said, Ken. Yeah, I know. I mean, my whole thing with giving it a 97, really, I mean, it was almost perfect for me. It just that the one little nitpick I have was how they just didn't bring Storm full circle. She had this big buildup. She lost her powers. She's going on this journey to get them back. She gets them back. She erupts as this, as she's always been, but as this badass goddess, this new uniform, this new vibe. She's like finding herself, different things about herself, and then like at the end, they kind of just like put her to the side. Like I was like, where's this goddess level power that we need to see destroying Sentinels? Like, where is that? That was the one thing I didn't like, but everything else, perfection. I loved the show.
I see where you come from, Max. And let me just put something else out there on top of it. We only had a 10 episode run. I bet you that if we would have made a 13 or a 14 episode season, we would have got some more Storm. But I think at the end of the day, they had to deal with so much with the Summers family that unfortunately Storm had to sit on the sideline at that point. And they probably were like, oh, well, we're working with this many episodes because, TV, and we're going to match what it is. And then they start making episodes and they go production values and 3 on the floor.
I mean, I see what you're saying, Tom, but I also will argue that I didn't think it was necessary to bring Phoenix back again. I felt that kind of came out of nowhere. And I feel like that could have been Storm's moment. Like that could have been her moment. But then I guess I can understand what you're saying about the Summers family and all that. So I guess it kind of weaved itself together. But next season, Storm better get her dues. That's all I'm saying.
Mhm.
Yes, Queen.
I think in this last episode, no, Storm didn't use her powers much, but she was still very much the backbone for everyone. She was the one who was laughing when Jean was resurrected. She's the one that told Scott Cable is alive and he's with whatever his name is. I can't remember. Like she was still very much integrated in every single part, and we don't know where she is now. So this is the.
Can we just call her ex-mom?
Oh, definitely.
She's so much
mother,
more
for
than
sure.
that. She's so much more than that. She's the modest goddess.
Yes.
But
For sure.
I think this is the biggest lesson of let her cook I've ever seen in my life, because I think season 2 she's gonna come out swinging.
I hope so.
Agreed.
Lightning will strike twice.
All right. So thank you to everyone that is in the chat. You guys are incredible. We can't wait to do this again. Thank you, Ken and Tom, for joining us. This was our first time. Look at this is beautiful. This is beautiful things happening right now.
It was amazing.
No,
much fun.
thank you both. Megan and Max have been absolutely crushing it at nerdinitiative.com. Megan is a rock star when it comes to new comic book day reviews. So if you're not checking that out, Max is crushing it too on the movies and streaming stuff as well. And we definitely want to see more of them on the streaming service here at Nerd Initiative because, like I say, they're absolute rock stars. Chat has absolutely killed it tonight. So please make sure that you're dropping those subscribes for Vigilante Vibes. The QR code is in this is in the setup here. You're gonna see it pop up a lot more on nerdinitiative.com because let's face it,
We love our QR codes.
we love our QR codes here at Nerd Initiative, and we love the Vigilante Vibes podcast, which seriously is absolutely crushing it right now. So you want to see more of that, hit the subscribe button for Nerd Initiative on YouTube because there's bonus content coming there, and you will definitely see more of Max and Megan on the channel as well. So stay tuned. ...
Just
To be
fortunate
continued.
because we are super cute. So we are fun to look at. So thank you guys. Everyone have a lovely evening. And let us know if you're going to go rewatch X-Men like I'm about to do right now. So
I know. So same.
Yep.
have a good night, guys.